into reclined bound ankle pose to start tonight with a hip opener and lower back release. So bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees and thighs to widen apart from each other. And you can certainly support the posture with your blocks if you'd like to place one outside of each of your knees or your thighs. And let your hands and arms relax wherever is the most comfortable for you. I want your shoulders to relax and connect to the ground. So wherever the arms are should be comfortable in the shoulders. And then softly close your eyes once your body has arrived in this shape. And just take a few moments to let yourself settle into the floor. Notice all of the parts of your body that are making contact with the mat. Let there be a heaviness, sensation of releasing in those areas of the body, just giving in to the support of the floor beneath you. Notice the sound and the sensation of your own breath. And start to observe the rising and falling pattern in the body. Notice what moves as you breathe and what remains still. And acknowledge any other sensations that are in your body right now, whether they're directly related to the shape of the posture, or whether they're carried over from whatever you've experienced today already. Before we release the pose, bring your attention back to the breath and start to consciously slow down the speed of your breath cycle and breathe more deeply and fully, making that shift away from your subconscious breath, which is an automatic process in the body, to a conscious one. Letting your focus and attention be in the body and on the breath. And with a nice long exhalation, let's release the pose by closing the knees. Take a moment once the knees are closed to just pause here. You can separate the feet a few inches apart and just let the feet plant against the ground. Notice how your low back feels after practicing that pose. Notice how your hips feel. And keep that full deep breath. Float the eyes open, sensing the light in your space. And then you can slide your left leg down on the ground. Let's bring the right knee into the chest. And take several breaths here as we just gently guide that leg closer to the upper body, stretching through the back of the hip and the glutes and lengthening the lower back. And then start to put some space between your thigh and the rib cage, so moving the knee away from you, and then cross it over your body for a reclined twist, floating your right arm out to the side to counter the leg. If you'd like to give yourself an adjustment, you can slide your bottom hip over to the right side of your mat, just a couple of inches, and then try and let your body melt into this shape. As you inhale, feel your right rib cage expand. And as you exhale, feel it contract to help deepen the twisting sensation. On your next breath out, gently unwind, return to your backside and bend both of your knees. Adjust your hips so they're centered below you and just pause to let your ribcage and back settle. And then slide your right leg down and bring the left knee into the chest, gently drawing it close to the body. Feeling your lower back lengthen and flatten down toward the floor. Nice full deep breath. And then put some space between your thigh and the rib cage to prepare for your twist. Cross your left leg over the pelvis toward the ground as you float your left arm toward the opposite side. And again, that little adjustment, you can slide your bottom hip over to the left side, scooting it on the mat. Give yourself a little more rotation in the lower back, letting the body just melt into this shape. One more deep breath in, expanding the left ribs, and then exhale, unwind. Plant both feet on the floor and adjust your hips so they're centered below you. We're going to come into reclined pigeon pose. Cross the right ankle to the left thigh and press the right knee away from your face. You can stay right here if you're already getting a good stretch in the hip, or you can bring the legs in toward you and reach through the space to hold the left hamstrings. If you're doing this version of the pose, check in with your shoulders once you're here. You want to try and keep them as relaxed as possible. Let the neck feel relaxed, head is planted on the floor, or if you've got a little blanket support underneath it like I do here, should feel nice and loose in the upper body. If you want to do a little rocking motion, that can help release the hip and piriformis. Just rocking the hips side to side here a little bit. Noticing how this right side is feeling tonight. You can curl and spread the toes. Move the ankles around. Just seeing how the joints in the feet are doing. And then let go of your left thigh if you took it, and we'll release this side, uncrossing the ankle. Other leg, left ankle to the right thigh, pressing that knee forward away from you. Noticing how this side feels. You can stay if it's enough, or bring the legs in, reach through the gap and hold the right hamstrings. Again, check that the shoulders are relaxed if you're in this version, the neck is loose. And then you can rock a little side to side in the hips if that feels good. One more breath in. And exhale, uncross the leg, let go. And then we're going to slide the left leg down on the mat. Bring the right knee into the chest again. And then find your strap so that we can use it for our hamstring release sequence. You're going to lift up and place the strap on the ball of the right foot. Lie back down as you press the foot against the strap up toward the ceiling to straighten the right leg. Adjust your strap so that you've got a tight grip and straight arms, and let there be some resistance in it. You're pulling down against the strap, while at the same time you press the foot up against it, creating that tension so that you get a nice deep stretch down the back of the leg. And then notice how your low back is against the mat. If it's totally flat, move the leg away from you just a little bit and try and slightly arch your lower back by pressing your sacrum into the floor more. And that should really fire up the stretch through the hamstrings. Keep the breath steady. We're going to come into our second variation. Hold the strap in the right hand only. Keep that tight grip and open the right leg out to the side without tipping the rest of your body over. So engage through your core and your left leg. Stay connected to the mat here. On an exhalation breath, bring the leg back up to the center, and then change hands. Cross your leg over the hips now toward the left side of the mat for the final variation of the pose. The right arm can relax down on the ground. Letting this motion be gradual. It can evolve with the breath. And it may not even really need to go very far for you to get this deep stretch down the outer hip and thigh. So just work within your own body's limits tonight. And then on an inhalation, bring the leg back up. Exhale, bend the knee down toward you and release the foot. Let that leg come down to the ground. And just adjust your body so that you feel like the hips are level. Notice the sensation on the right side compared to the left. How that hip and leg are feeling, how your body responds to that sequence of poses. Now let's take that for the left. Hug the left knee to the chest and energize the right leg down on the floor. Take your strap, lift up and place it around the foot and lie back down as you press the foot up toward the ceiling, finding that resistance in the strap right away. Pulling down with the arms, pushing up with the foot. Steady breathing here. And again, with your lower back, see if you can feel just a slight curvature in your lumbar so that it's not pressing down flat against the ground. Another way of thinking about that is pelvic tilt, a slight forward pelvic tilt, pressing the sacrum into the floor is going to deepen the hamstring stretch. And for for our second position. Hold the strap in the left hand only, keeping the grip tight. Open the left leg out to the side without tipping the rest of the body over. So contract now through the core, the hip, the right leg. On a strong exhalation breath, bring the leg back up and change hands. Final variation, cross the leg now over the body toward the right side of the mat, any amount. Noticing how the sensation shifts now to the outer thigh, the outer hip. So the hamstrings are really three muscles grouped together, and the sequence addresses all three of them. And then let's lift the leg back up to starting position. Exhale, bend the knee down toward you. Remove the strap and release the leg to the floor. Good. Just pause for a moment with both legs reclined. Adjust your hips if you need to so they feel centered and aligned under the shoulders. Just notice how the legs and the spine feel. We're going to take one more reclined sequence here. I'm going to have you find your block, and we're going to bend the knees and plant the feet on the ground. We're going to do a little lower back and core strengthening now, using the block as an assist for the legs. You're going to take it on its narrowest or its medium width, whatever feels better for your hips, and place that block in between the inner thighs. And just squeeze it gently so it doesn't drop. I've got a cork one, so it's kind of heavier. You need to engage a little bit more, but if you've got a foam one, it'll be a little easier. And then bring the knees all the way into the chest and feel how your lower back flattens into the floor when you do that. Now move your knees away from your chest until you have a little bit of the natural arch in your lower back. Open your arms out to the sides with the palms facing up and press the back of your wrists into the floor so that your arms are active. Good. From here, lift your feet up so that there's about a 90-degree bend in the knees. And then see if you can move the thighs a little farther away. Even just a millimeter or two, starting to challenge the lower abdominals. So find the point where it's a challenge, but it's not a strain. So you should not feel strain in your lower back or your neck. If you do, bring it in a little or take a break by bringing it all the way in. All right? We're just going to hold a few breaths in that challenging place, however far away that is in your legs. And then on an exhalation, take it in, hug the arms around the knees. You can move the block out of the way for a moment if you want, and just rock a little bit side to side, letting your low back flatten, massaging those muscles against the floor. And so depending on how strong your lower back and your abdominals are, that's going to dictate how far away the legs go, right? So it's not about how far you can go. There's not like an end goal to this pose where your knees have to be a certain distance away from your body. It's about finding that perfect point where you feel like those muscles are challenged, but you're not straining beyond what you can hold. So we're going to take that one more time, and then we're going to take some movement variations. So block comes in between the knees. Start with the knees close. Move them away from you until you can feel the little arch in the low back, and let's open the arms. Lift the feet up so there's about a 90-degree bend in the knees. And then move your legs slightly farther away until you're feeling challenged in your low back and lower abdominals. If this is too much, I forgot to mention the last time, you can bring your arms down and grab the edges of your yoga mat. That can be a good sort of intermediate level of this pose, and you can work up to doing this with your arms out to the sides. So you can kind of think of this shape as doing chair pose, but lying down on your back. Okay, so imagine that shape in the body. Hold it for just 2 more breaths. And then exhale, bring the knees in, hug the legs toward the upper body. You remove that block again, and just rock a little bit side to side. Rock the knees around in a wide circle a few times, massaging your sacrum. Good, and then final version of this, we're gonna add some movement in a light twisting variation. So block comes back in between the knees. They start close, just like the previous one. We're gonna move them away until you feel a little arch in the low back. Lift the feet up, and then find that challenge point, legs slightly farther away. And now we're gonna keep the legs exactly as far away as they are now, but start rocking them to the right, creating a little twist, but not letting them touch the floor completely. And then exhale, rock back to the center, and then over to the left, twisting in the low back, not letting them touch before you exhale and take it back. So do that a few times at your own pace, trying to maintain the distance between the rib cage and the thighs, especially when you come back to the center point. It can be tempting to bring the legs in toward the chest. See if you can do a few before taking a break. Try once more to each side, using the breath to help you contract out of the twist each time. And then bring the knees in, remove that block again, and just rock a little bit side to side. Nice work. Not only is that great strengthener for the lower back and the core, but if you're on a hard surface here, you can feel that it's a really good massage for your SI joints, your sacroiliac joints. Okay, let's start to rock up and down along the length of the spine. Tuck your chin, swing your knees toward your face, and then start to build a little bit of momentum with each of these rocks, eventually rocking yourself upright. Once you're upright, let's come forward into table pose. Let me just move my blanket out of the way. All right, so coming onto the hands and knees, let's do a little warm up for the shoulders and the upper back, taking spinal waves. Inhale to lift your tailbone, chest, and chin. Exhale to tuck, rounding back. Again, inhale and exhale. Moving through both directions at the speed of your own breath. The next time you exhale through the rounded spine, just hold there for a few moments, hollowing out your chest, spreading the shoulders apart, and bringing the chin as close to your collarbones and chest as you can. Really round. On an inhalation, release back to table, straightening the spine. And then walk your arms forward, and now press your chest and armpits toward the floor, letting the head touch down for half down dog. Nice long arms as the spine extends, as the armpits stretch open. And then inhale, lift your head, walk your hands just a few inches closer and spread the fingers widely. Come up into the full downward facing dog. Lifting your hips up toward the ceiling now. Taking the feet about hip width apart And as you press strongly against the palms, try and find as deep of an extension as you just had in the half version of the pose. So the chest and the armpits are still pressing down toward the floor. The neck is loose. You're just allowing the head to drop between the upper arms. And from here, bring the feet together so there's no space between them. Now look forward and shift into plank pose, upper push-up position. Take 3 deep breaths here. Last inhalation. As you exhale, slowly lower your body all the way to the ground. Once you're there, point your toes, roll your shoulders back, and then roll up into a cobra pose. It can be low or higher. Breathe nice and low into your abdomen every time you inhale. Couple more breaths here, just opening the front side of the body. And with an exhalation, let it go. Roll your abdomen down, drop the head. Tuck your toes, press back up to your knees, and then drop the hips to the heels and come into child's pose. You can separate your knees a little bit wider apart and feel your shoulders and your arms now relax. So a little bend in the elbows. Just notice the gentle pressure of your forehead meeting the floor. If it doesn't touch the ground, you can put a block there or stack one hand on top of the other or one fist on top of the other. And let your head feel heavy, sinking down into that point of contact. Feel your whole spine decompress in this shape. On an inhalation, open the eyes and lift back up into table pose. We're going to lunge the right foot forward in between the hands, slide your left knee back, and point those toes to press the top of the left foot and ankle against the ground for stability. Take a few breaths here in your low lunge, feeling the front side of your left thigh open up, stretching through the hip flexors, especially the psoas. Try and keep that low hip position as we rise up with the spine, reaching the arms up over the shoulders, finding Crescent Lunge. Continue to press strongly against your front foot and that back ankle, and lift up through the rib cage and gently arc the arms back toward your left foot. Thinking about the crescent moon shape here, from fingertips to the back toes. Creating that in the body. On an exhalation breath, release. Hands come back to the floor. From here, lift your back knee up off of the ground so you're in a high lunge. Plant your palms and step back and lift up to downward facing dog. Adjust your feet a few inches apart. Let your head and neck release down. And again, bring the feet together so there's no space between them. From here, shift forward into plank pose. Shoulders over the palms. Take 3 deep breaths. On an exhalation, slowly lower down. Point the toes. Inhale, arch back, coming into cobra pose, and take a few breaths here. On an exhalation, roll down, tuck the toes, press up to the knees, and then come back again to child's pose. Settle the hips toward the heels. Feel your shoulders and arms relax. Take a few deep breaths. Letting your head feel heavy, noticing that sensation of the contact between your forehead and the mat. On an inhalation breath, lift up into table pose, and then lunge your left foot forward in between the hands. Slide your right knee back and point those toes, pressing the top of the foot and ankle against the ground. Take a few breaths here, feeling the hips release down. Keeping that low hip position. Inhale and reach the arms forward and up, coming into low crescent lunge. Lift up through the lower back and the rib cage, and then glide the arms back slightly. Fingertips to the back toes, creating that crescent arc. On an exhalation, slowly release the hands. Good, tuck your back toes under, lift that knee up, and return to downward facing dog. Let the head and neck drop. Take 5 deep breaths here. On your last breath in, look forward, and then exhale as you step up to your hands. Take the hands against the shins and inhale to the flat back position. Exhale to fold forward, dropping the head and lengthening the neck. Again, inhale, press against the shins, straightening your arms and back, and then exhale, fold forward, letting go. Once more, inhale, get as long as you can, and then exhale, release down, dropping the head, really trying to bring your upper body in full connection with your lower body. So if there's any space between your ribs and your thighs, bend the knees a little bit and see if that can allow your low back to release to get your rib cage closer. Feel your breath expanding against the front of the legs. And then we're going to rise up slowly through a rag doll. Bend the knees and lower your hips. Draw your navel in and slowly roll up, letting your arms dangle down the whole way. Once you're upright, roll the shoulders down and back. Reach the arms down by your sides and feel a tall, active mountain pose. Strong through the legs as you plant firmly through the feet. Feeling that connection to the floor. We're going to take a few rounds of slow sun salutations. So starting here in mountain pose. Inhale and raise the arms up. Exhale and dive forward over the legs. Inhale to your flat back position. Exhale, step back to plank pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower to the ground. Point your toes and inhale, find cobra pose. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, push up to the knees. Exhale, drop the hips back and then lift up to find downward facing dog. Settling into this familiar shape. And on an inhalation, look forward. Exhale, step to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, rise up, opening the arms and reaching overhead. Exhale, mountain pose. Second round. Inhale, reach up and get long. Exhale, dive and fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, walk to plank. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, arch back to cobra. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, press up to the knees. Exhale, back and up to downward facing dog. Stay here and breathe. One more breath in, look at the hands, and then exhale, step the feet up to them. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, and then exhale, release the arms. Last time through. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step to plank. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, arch back to cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, push up. Exhale, lift back. Downward facing dog. One more breath in, look forward. Exhale, step to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, rise up and reach overhead. Exhale, release your arms. We're going to take a wide-legged forward bend with our chest opening variation. So you're going to reach the hands behind the back and interlace the fingers, or you can hold a strap between them if it's difficult to straighten the arms that way. So take the feet nice and wide, about as wide apart as you would for a warrior pose, and turn the heels slightly out and the big toes slightly in. Let's roll the shoulders back and open the chest, and then straighten the arms behind you. If you're using a strap, keep the grip on the strap really tight and let there be tension in it so that you're kind of feeling like pulling it apart. On an exhalation breath, let's fold forward. The hips go back, upper body comes forward and down as we let the head drop, and gradually allow the arms to just lift up and over, keeping the neck nice and loose. Press actively against the floor, down through the feet, especially the ball of the big toe and the inner heel. Last breath in here. Exhale and lower the arms slowly. Separate the hands or put the strap down and release the hands to the floor in between the feet. Slowly lift your head and chest and walk your hands forward to find the flat back position. You can certainly have your hands on blocks here. Just take a moment in this intermediate phase between coming out so that you can just feel the blood pressure in the head decrease, lengthen the spine. And then strengthen your lower back and core so that you can hold your flat back position and bring your hands to the waist. And then press your hips forward to help come up. Good. Look over at the front of your mat and point those toes forward. For me, it's my left foot. You do whichever side you have facing the front. So we're going to come into triangle. Left toes forward, right heel angles back slightly, or vice versa if you're doing the other leg first. Let's open the arms out to the side and strengthen the legs. Rock your hip joints back and then lean your upper body forward toward your front leg and then pivot the arms. Gently holding your shin or ankle with the lower hand as you raise the upper hand toward the ceiling. Nice, low, deep breathing, keeping that strong energy in the legs. One more deep breath in. Exhale to contract your core and lift up. Good. Let your arms relax, and we're just going to pivot the feet. So you're going to do this to the opposite end of your mat. So rotate the front toes in, so that's now going to be your back foot, and then rotate the back toes so they face the opposite end of your mat. Legs are strong and straight. Let's open the arms again. Rock your hips toward the back of your mat and lean your upper body toward the front of your mat, reaching long and then pivoting the arms. Bottom hand comes to hold the ankle or shin as the top hand reaches up to the ceiling. Few more breaths, maintaining those strong, active legs. Last inhalation. Strong exhalation to help you contract and lift up. Good. Relax the arms. Pivot the front toes in and then heel toe both feet a few times so that you can come out of that stance. Good. Let's come back to the front of the mat and we're going to start to take things down toward the floor. We're going to be coming into pigeon pose from here. On an inhalation, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale and dive over your legs. Inhale, flat back position. Exhale, bend the knees and step back and lift up to downward facing dog. We're going to come into pigeon with the right leg forward first. Let's raise the right leg up into the air. Look toward the front of your mat and bring the knee into the chest and then shift forward and place the knee up in between the hands. Slide your left leg back, and then if you can, widen your right knee out to the side to about a 2 o'clock angle. And you're welcome to support the right hip if you like putting a block there or a folded blanket, especially if it feels difficult to avoid tipping over. You might want to prop something up there. Good. Take a few moments to settle down into the hips. Make any little adjustments that you need, and then walk it forward and down if you haven't already gone there. So letting the upper body come toward the floor any amount, using your arms or forearms or elbows to support you depending on where you're at here, or the forehead can come down. And close your eyes here. Focus on the sound and the sensation of your breath. And acknowledge any sensations related to the pose that may come up for you as we hold here. Take a few more breaths here in pigeon pose. And Maria, I hope you got back in the room. I saw that you had been logged out. So we're in pigeon pose with the right knee forward in case you missed that. When you're ready to come out of the pose, just start lifting your head and your upper body. Walk your hands in closer to the front leg. And then start dragging your back knee closer to the front of your mat. Just one step forward at a time until you've got your shoulders over your hands, and then you can press back and up to downward facing dog. In down dog, just pedal the legs back and forth a few times, helping to release through the right side. And then we'll take it for the left when you're ready. Raising that left leg up into the air. Look forward. We're going to bring the left knee to the chest and then shift forward to put the knee in between the hands and slide the right leg farther back. And before you fold forward, if you can make this adjustment, you're going to angle your left knee out to the side a bit wider, about a 10 o'clock angle. And that's going to help give you the best alignment in the hips, or what we call square hips. So both hip joints are facing forward. And then start your journey toward your forward bend, lowering your upper body any amount. Using your arms or elbows as needed to support the upper body if the head isn't on the ground here, which it may not be. You may have one side that ends up in a slightly different final form than the other. Give yourself time to settle in and then close the eyes again as we hold this pose here a little longer than some of our standing poses. Nice deep stretch through the left hip and glutes. When you're ready to come out of the pose, start to lift your head and chest, walk your hands closer to the front leg, and then walk your back knee closer to the front of the mat as well until your shoulders are right over the hands so you can push the mat and step back. Last time in downward facing dog. Once you're here, try pedaling the legs back and forth a few times just to help release the left knee joint and stretch through the back side of the leg. And then let's bring the knees to the floor and find child's pose again. This time, if you like, you can take the knees together as you sit back and wrap the arms around the legs if you like this variation. Slightly more rounded in the back here. As the hands rest by the feet. We then let the shoulders just melt down. If you like the other version with the wide legs and arms forward, you're welcome to do there too. And when you're ready to come out, slowly lift up out of child's pose, and we're going to take a seat directly on the floor or up on a folded blanket if you use that for assistance. And And we're going to find our strap again and take a seated forward bend. So we're going to start here with the legs extended together out in front of you. Place the strap around both of your feet. Just like in our hamstring sequence earlier on the back, there'll be a really tight grip with your hands on the strap, and there should be tension in the strap. So you're pulling back against it through straight arms. You want the strap just to be like an extension of your straight, long arms. And then sit up really tall, drawing the lumbar in and engaging through the lower back, lifting the rib cage and the chest, but feeling your shoulder blades glide down. So you want to feel like the body is in an L shape here. And then from this L shape, tuck your chin to the chest. Now pull against your strap, bending the elbows to help guide your upper body forward and down toward the legs. And then reach your hands forward again. If they meet your feet, you can hold the feet. If you still have a lot of strap left, just slide your hands farther down the strap. Close the eyes here and try and really let your body melt into this shape. We've already done a lot of hamstring stretching today, so if you want to let your thighs be a little more relaxed, the quadriceps, rather than super engaged, that'll ease up a little bit on the hamstring stretch, so you can focus mainly on lengthening the lower and middle back. Still feeling hamstring stretch, but it won't be quite as active feeling in the legs. Take about 5 more breaths here. And then when you're ready to come out, inhale and roll up. Good. You can put that strap aside. Bend your right knee in toward you, and then cross the foot over to the outside of your left thigh. Hug the bent knee in toward the body and sit up tall. We're going to take a seated twist here. Raise your right arm up as you inhale, and then exhale, twist to the right, and place the hand down just behind your hips. You can bring the bent knee into the crease of your elbow and kind of grip it here with your forearm. And every time you inhale, think of lifting up more through the spine, and as you exhale, feeling some rotation. One more breath in. And then exhale, unwind. Good. Uncross that right leg and straighten it out in front of you. Bend your left knee in toward your upper body and then cross the left foot over so it's just outside of the right thigh. Good. Bring the knee in really close to the upper body and inhale, raise your left arm. Exhale, twist to the left, placing those fingertips down just behind you to help prop you up in the twist. Bring your knee into the fold of your right elbow, gripping it with the forearm to keep a tight connection between the bent leg and your upper body. One more breath in. And exhale, unwind. Good. Uncross the thigh and come down onto your back. We're going to rest for a few minutes in Shavasana, final relaxation. Take your time getting settled. Feel free to use props to support your body if you like, or if you're comfortable flat on the ground, then clear your space so that the body's not touching anything. And once you're settled, close your eyes. Feel your shoulders melt into the floor. And visualize your entire spine, from the cervical vertebra in your neck all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. And imagine every disc in between each one of your vertebrae gradually decompressing as all of the muscles that connect along your spine gradually relax into the floor. Take one deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through your mouth. Let your breath settle back into its natural state and energy, and enjoy these few minutes of deep rest. Slowly bring your attention back to your breath. And take a few deeper breaths to cue your body that you're about to move. And start moving the fingers and the toes, and taking any other stretch that would feel good to you right now. And then eventually bend your knees. Roll over to one side of your body and curl up into a fetal pose. And just pause briefly to notice how you feel right now. Stay with that as you come upright. Find a comfortable seated posture with the eyes closed. Continue to breathe deeply, letting that energy fill the body from head to toe. And then join the palms together in front of your heart center, and we'll end by chanting Om one time. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and gently bow your head, acknowledging yourself for making the time and space to practice tonight and expressing gratitude to your body. And thank you all so much for being here. I'm grateful that you came to this class. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely